And finally, friends, if we're going to reach our economic destination, we're going to have to make strong and steady progress by telling our story, so people know about what's going in that province that they can hardly spell or pronounce if they're from far away. As for me, I have the distinct and unqualified honor and privilege of telling Saskatchewan's story as a part of my job. And I will take every opportunity to do it the very best that I can on your behalf and on behalf of the province. And here's why. I want to introduce you to the reason why I want to tell that story. Please meet Wilson Shea. Would you stand up, Wilson? Wilson is, just hang on a second, Wilson is a reason why we tell the story. Wilson heard a little bit about what was going in Canada from his office in Rochester, New York, where he came via the Bahamas. He heard a little bit about Canada. He heard a little bit about Saskatchewan, maybe because of some of our efforts. I hope so. Doesn't really matter either way, I guess. He did a bit more research. Long story short, he's living in Regina, Canada. He's working at KPMG. Wilson, I'd like you to meet 2,000 of your fellow citizens, Wilson Shea from Rochester and the Bahamas. Wilson arrived in late December, and it was minus 48. True story, correct? With the wind chill, minus 48. The fact that he did not run screaming back into the plane is a testament to the fact that he was meant to be in Saskatchewan. Somebody told him, don't worry, it'll warm up in the spring. Until that global warming exemption happened on our province. Thank you, Al Gore. So we're going to keep telling our story, ladies and gentlemen. Though lately a disturbing trend has emerged, I can tell you when we're telling the story. I spoke recently and was promoting our beef sector, and some cattlemen gave me a stockman's tie and some beef jerky. And then in Chicago, I was telling our friends in Chicago that a quarter of the mustard, that French's mustard at Wrigley Stadium, probably came from the province of Saskatchewan, because we grow a quarter of the mustard seed. And the mustard producers of our province sent me a mustard tie, a mustard pocket square, some prepared mustard, some mustard seed, and a mustard box. And then I spoke to the Canadian Nuclear Association. Ladies and gentlemen, though, just when I think our story is getting out, I'm reminded that there is still work to do at the job fair in Toronto. We were there on April Fool's Day. As a matter of fact, I was on Canada AM doing an interview, and I asked Bev if she would work with me, if I could squeeze into the interview a bit of a April Fool's joke. And I said at the end of the interview, I thanked her, I thanked Bev and Canada AM for the chance to tell our story again. And then I said, thanks to TSN for announcing that their headquarters is moving from Toronto to Regina Beach. And Bev played it straight. Bev said, well, you're welcome. I think that's a wise decision. I think her mom's from Regina Beach originally. I walked off the set at Canada AM, and I was approached by a very worried-looking cameraman who came up. Actually, I work for TSN. I'm just kind of helping out here. And is it true that we're moving to Saskatchewan? And I said, no, it's April 1st. That's just an April Fool's joke. And I could tell by the relief in his eyes that we've got work to do. Some people have not got the memo. What about the Bombers coach from last month? Did you hear what he said? He called Saskatchewan the crotch of Canada. I forget his name. They go through Bombers head coaches so fast, I don't remember. But that's what he said. He said Saskatchewan was the crotch of Canada. But we shouldn't be too hard on him. It's an easy mistake to make, because frankly, we are the only member of Confederation that's producing anything right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come a long way in a short time due to you and due to our resources and a bit of good fortune, but our journey has only just begun. And there will be challenges along the way. There are challenges before us now. Make no mistake, there are those among us who will still sound discordant notes, who may not believe what I believe about the future of our province. Last summer, I was reading in the Leader Post a story about our opposing political party, and I haven't mention them tonight, and I'm not going to mention them now, but their initials are NDP. But the article was quoting some senior officials who were excited about the prospects of their party and excited that our prospects may be going the other way because, as they said, quote, the financial picture of the province would never be any better than it is right now. That was last year. Think about that statement. Buried in an all too shallow grave in those words is the sentiment that our best days are behind us. That our best day in Saskatchewan happened sometime back in 2008. I have this to say to that. In a world with a growing middle class, a hungry growing middle class, that's going to result in more intensive agriculture, that's going to need more fertilizer, that's going to need more potash from a place that has a third of the world's supply, I like our chances. In a world that is looking for sustainable energy technology, for a supply of secure, conflict-free energy, I like our chances. In a world that is today looking for a place that's offering hope and jobs and economic development, I like our chances. In a world that today is seeking that place that balances commerce with compassion, I like our chances. To those who would even vaguely suggest that our best days are behind us, I would say this. As long as Saskatchewan is framed by living skies and waving fields, as long as the breath of Saskatchewan is that prairie wind that freshens and stiffens our resolve to succeed for all of the right reasons, as long as the pulse of Saskatchewan is measured not in our prodigious natural resources, but in our people, in their hopes and in their dreams and in their communities, in the waves of strangers on dirt roads, in telemiracles, in volunteering, as long as these are the inimitable truths of the province of Saskatchewan, then it doesn't matter what the naysayer says, it doesn't matter who the premier is or who the government is, it doesn't matter the circumstance or the era that we're in. The truth is simply this: our best days will always be ahead of us in the province of Saskatchewan. So, program the GPS. May God bless the journey. May God bless our province. Thank you very much.